All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday with my man Rio. What a hectic 8-game slate we have. Trade deadline in 2 days on Thursday. So, yeah, they're already starting to pile in. Rio's Utah Jazz making a big move. So I'll just throw it to you right on that. How's your day going, Rio? And what do you think of the Jazz and the Memphis trade?
Hey, my day's going really well. I like the trade for Utah, personally. I've seen some mixed reviews on Twitter, but I think it's a good trade. Got somebody that gives you some upside for the near future, win now guy, already under contract for a while too, which is the biggest thing because Jazz they're really not a team that's ever going to sign a big name free agent, so you have to go out and trade them or draft them, which is a lot tougher to do. So I like the trade for Utah, and then we still keep our pick for next year. Gave up 2 firsts in the 2027 draft, which seems like it's going to be one of the weaker ones moving forward. So I think it's a good move for us. Fine trade for Memphis, I guess. They have turned Bane and Jaren Jackson into 7 first-round picks, and then probably turning Ja Morant into another 2 to 4, I would imagine, over the next 5 seasons is not a bad place to be. But yeah, Jazz essentially turned Rudy Gobert into Walker Kessler, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Keontae George. So I think that turned out to be a pretty good trade for them.
Yeah, I mean, when you say it like that, that sounds phenomenal. But that sounds good for Memphis too. I mean, they weren't going to win anything with their current squad, in my opinion. So when it's time like that, it's time to send Jaren, send Ja, and restart with some picks. So, yeah, I mean, I think nowadays you can win. Both teams can win trades. And how I see it, I think that's the case. But I do like what Utah's doing, going really big in their starting lineup or their potential starting lineup. Definitely can cause some problems for the opposition. Our man Matt, I did see only one guy in his core up on the site right now, and that is Isaiah Collier. I mean, man, mega chalk. What a crazy slate we have. Just sorting by value right now, you can see the top, 3, 6, 8 value plays on the slate are all Pacers. We'll get there in a sec with the first game of the night, but very, very concentrated slate. When the whole Pacers team's ruled out, obviously some of Utah stuff, like I think we're going to go through a lot of these games and be like, no, I don't want anyone, or I only want 1 or 2 guys. And then we'll spend a lot of time on a game like the Utah Jazz and the Indiana Pacers to start. So it is an 8-game slate. DK has kept the bigger slates. But yeah, there's all locks within an hour. So 7 Eastern, it was going to, regardless if they were adding late games or not, they didn't add the really, really late game, but it was going to be an 8-game slate regardless. So 7 Eastern lock time, it takes you all the way to 8 Eastern. And yeah, plenty of injury news we'll be talking about. Got to say hi to everyone first before we get into it. Jason Turner, our man Little Neck, Ricky, William, Marcus, Jordan, Coach Sav, LSU, Brittany, Matt, Marquis. Hope everybody is doing well. You can see right below this ticker, you're probably like, what's going on? Boots Bullets plus all access plus SaberSim free trial using the code BOOTS. So what that is this year for golf, our guy Matt Gannon, he's going to be at, I believe it's 10 events, but boots on the ground. Right now, he's in my backyard. He's at the Waste Management. Beautiful day. He's enjoying some golf. He was talking to Daniel Berger at the airport, getting a very close look at multiple golfers. And he's going to go. It's going to be a premium show. Right now, I think it's 5:30 Eastern is when we have it for. And he's going to go live. If you're a premium member, you can get in there. You can ask any questions. He's on the course. He's seeing how these guys are swinging it. He's trying to talk to some of the guys. Really cool stuff over here, just in addition to an awesome golf product we have. Prizes are awesome this week. PGA, all of our content will be up for the Waste Management. Definitely one of my favorite events of the year. Of course, we also do have NBA, also have NHL. Got to shout out Sheets. He split yesterday the first place with Giant Squid. Sheets just continues to crush every single sport. And my man Sharks absolutely dominates the NHL streets in the 333, 444, whatever the high stakes is. He's in it, and it feels like he's cashing 75% of the time. Of course, my man Nades as well. So, yeah, a lot of sports going on right now. MMA this weekend as well. We'd love to have you at the Nation. Definitely can check out the Boots Bullets, all access, SaberSim free trial using the code BOOTS. Can also get in 5 days for $19. if you go to shipthenation.com, click join the nation, daily pass, 5-day access, monthly, and all of that. I'll bring that up later. I can't be staring at that the whole time. All right, there we go. Any initial thoughts, broad slate overview? I think I kind of covered it. Pacers, I mean, they're all free, and then pick the studs you want and go about your day. But yeah, anything for you before we go game by game?
No, yeah. I was just kind of thinking through, like, it feels like a slate where you choose your studs and then let the value kind of land where it is. Because we'll talk about when we get into the Indy and the Jazz game, but just kind of broad slate overview. That's what I'm looking at. You're obviously going to be playing Indy and Utah guys, but you need to kind of hone in on who you're spending up for tonight.
Yeah, I mean, but when you're comparing value on other teams, it's so hard for me to pick almost any of them over these Pacers stuff. So just get different with your spends, maybe roster construction stuff, maybe some groups that Rio can help us out. But yeah, we'd love to have you at the Nation. Hey, what's going on, Big Marley? You're going to the Pacers game? Yeah, well, what a great game for you to go to. You'll have probably over half of your roster at don't call it the Jazz game, Rio. You'll have probably over half your roster in that one game, Big Marley. So that'll be a lot of fun. Enjoy it there. What's going on all day? Ricky in here. Appreciate it. Mighty as well. Paraby, Luis. A lot of people in here. All we ask, like button, subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. We're going to take you into the first game of the night. Rio's Utah Jazz taking on Big Marley's Indiana Pacers. 2.5-point favorites are the Jazz. 232.5 total. I'm kicking myself a little bit with the new tax law. I told myself I'm not betting, but I was on my phone when all that Pacers news hit, and I almost did hit the Jazz money line at plus money shortly after they took it off. Now they're favorites, so I'm sorry, Rio. I'll be cheering for the Pacers just because the emotional hedge, because I should have had more money in my pocket otherwise. Injury report, though, here we go. Pacers, no Nembhard, no Siakam, no Nesmith, no Mathurin, no TJ McConnell. Micah Potter is questionable. On the Utah side, no Kyle Anderson, no Walter Clayton, Kevin Love doubtful, Keontae George out. I mean, yeah, I think I said everything that needs to be said. Just looking at the Pacer side, it's very obvious. They're shorthanded. The highest price guy is $5,200. They're all projecting for insane value. Utah side as well, though, I'd say the second best on the slate. Collier looks really good without Keontae. And then, yeah, with the trades, kind of thin a little bit in the front court. But, I mean, Laurie looks really good. He's going to have to carry bulk of it. Fukowski, Sensabos, Fee. I mean, how do you not load up on this game? Take it away however you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's wrong for me to be more interested in the Utah size, but currently they only have 8 guys that are going to be suiting up unless they call up some of these G League guys. I don't know if they're going to be calling up multiple of them, but they do have John Tanji, Oscar Tshiebwe, and EJ Harkless as guys that they can call up. They don't play tonight. I think they play the G League guys don't play tonight. They play tomorrow back home. So there's a good chance that we see 1 or 2 of these guys get called up. But as it stands right now, the Jazz have 8 guys. So definitely one you're going to have to prioritize if it stays that way, because that's kind of like the magic number where you want probably like minimum 2, maybe up to like 4 Jazz pieces if they do only run out 8. And then the Pacers side obviously going to be a huge source for value. I'll start with the Utah side, though. For me, it's Isaiah Collier. Me and Matt are going to be on him pretty heavily tonight, I would imagine. I mean, I just don't see how he doesn't play like 36 plus. I could even see him playing more than 40 because he's essentially the only guard, like true point guard we have on the roster now with no Walter Clayton and Keontae George out, unless they call up EJ Harkless. But either way, I think they're going to play him a ton. He had a really big role last game that he started, 7.2 minutes of touch time, 12 potential assists, 19 points in that game. And he's got a really good chance to replicate that stat line. No Keontae, really thin guard defense on the other side. The Pacers, who are already pretty bad with pick and roll defense, but now with no Nembhard, no Nesmith, no Mathurin, no really good guard defenders. I think that he's got really, really big upside here. I think that a double-double for him is in play. So if you want to bet that, like seems like a pretty good bet. I think the Jazz will be able to score a ton. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. So really big opportunity here for Isaiah Collier. I hope that the ownership stays where it's at, but I imagine it comes up throughout the day as we get closer to lock.
Yeah, let me just say this ownership is not even close to updated. I hope it will update throughout the show, but I mean, Collier very well might be 40%. Like he's going to be one of the chalky. Oh, maybe that's the ownership that we're looking at right here. But it's not. But yeah, I hate to break it to you, Rio, but I don't think that's even close to the case.
You think it'll be more than like 20%?
Yeah, very confident that it will be.
Yeah, I mean, I guess all the indie guards have shooting guard eligibility as well, so it's pretty easy to play Jackson
Exactly.
plus Collier, and then you can even get
You
Luca.
can play Luca with them very easy. Like I think it's real. He might be 35, 40, something like that.
I'd still be fine at that ownership, honestly. I think that he's just I have him close to projected for um like 44 is what I
Yeah,
have
I
him for
mean,
right now.
and that makes sense. If you said he could play maybe 40 minutes, Saberson right now is 33 minutes at
That's low.
34.
That's way too
Yeah,
low.
exactly. So yeah, listen to what we're saying right now. I'm sharing it. Everything will be updated, our ownership, our projections, all of that. But yeah, let me just say that they're light on, I think, almost all of these Utah guys.
Yeah, it's gonna come up a ton. But I yeah, like I said, I'd be totally fine with it. I have him projected as like one of the better mid-tier guys on the entire slate, like right up there with the Indy Pacers value. After him, like I don't know if it's necessarily a spot where you have to go out of your way to play these guys, because the difference between Indy and Utah is that the Jazz are priced up 8.2 for Laurie, where the highest priced guy on Indy is 5.2K. So you're probably getting better points per dollar outcomes from those Indy guys. But these guys are going to play a ton. Like I said, if there's only 8 guys available, they're going to play a ton. So I think Nurk is definitely in play at 7.7K. I think Laurie is in play for sure. I would probably be more focused on the younger guys, though. I could see them kind of maybe not, like, you won't be capable of dialing back the minutes for Laurie and Nurk if they only have 8, but I think we could get 36 plus from Ace, like 36 from Sensabaugh, maybe like 34 from Cody Williams. I don't think he'd necessarily be in play, but I think Ace and Sensabaugh are the 2 other guys that I'm looking at behind Collier tonight. Ace has been coming on a little bit as of late. I think it's a good spot for him. Wings have been a place to attack Indy all season long, and now with how thin they are, I think it's an even better spot for him. And then we know Sensabaugh, when he plays, he's going to chuck. He might be the secondary ball handler behind Collier tonight too, so he should be in a pretty good spot. 5.4K, good price tag for him. We've seen him have really big upside. So those are the guys I'm focusing on the Utah side. For Indy, you're obviously going to be playing a lot of these guys. I think Quentin Jackson is the one guy that I'm probably going to be like even to the field with, and then I think it's kind of a big drop off after that in terms of priority. Like they have bodies for their front court with Isaiah Jackson, Jay Huff, Furphy, and Jarris Walker, and Micah Potter. I think all 5 of those guys will mix in at the 4 and 5 spots. But I think Jarris Walker is a pretty solid option here. I think he's probably playing 35 plus. I'd be a little bit less interested in playing Jay Huff and at really high ownership, because I don't really think that he's playing 30 plus. Like we saw Isaiah Jackson cut into his minutes a ton last night. They saw Micah Potter, so it could be 3 guys mixing in behind him at center. So I think it's really Quinn Jackson and Jarris Walker as like the 2 S tier plays, like the 1A, 1B options, and then a little bit of a drop off down to Huff, Ijax. But I think Furphy is pretty good. And then like Cam Jones, Ethan Thompson, Ben Shepherd, Talon Peter, all going to be mixing in for guard minutes. You're definitely going to be getting a ton of Pacers tonight, but I think that you can limit how much you're getting them with rules. So for me, I think I'll be max 2 of Huff, Isaiah Jackson, and Micah Potter. I think Walker and Furphy don't really need to be included in any groups, but I would probably want to be a max 2 of the Quinn Jackson, Thompson, Cam Jones, Talon Peter, and Ben Shepherd grouping. Do you have any input there on like the rules, or like how many you're okay with tonight? I think 4 is totally fine for single entry, maybe even 5, honestly.
Yeah, definitely don't have a lean on the rules. As far as max, I want to say probably I wouldn't want too many teams with 5, and a lot of that just has to do with just the price. Like salary is pretty much irrelevant, but at the end of the day, you can find 2,500 to find someone that projects a decent bit better or something that you want to do. Like I just don't know if I need 5 guys when the highest price guy is 5.2K, and a lot of this or the plays that we like are in the 3K. So I think 4 is a sweet spot. Definitely can play 3, even though it feels a little light, but 5 feels a little too heavy. And when you go 5, I think it just gets really concentrated on where you go after. Like I think everyone would play Luka after that, maybe a Jalen Johnson. Like you just fall into very similar build that way.
Yeah, you have like no win equity with those types of lineups.
Yeah. So, but I don't have any. I always defer to you on the groupings and stuff, but probably 4, 3 and 4 sounds like the sweet spot today.
Like 10 bodies is not nothing. Like
For sure.
I don't know if Jarris Walker probably has the best chance of topping 34 minutes tonight, but I feel like they have enough bodies at the guard and in the front court to play these guys anywhere from like 28 to 30 at the most.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't really have like too much more to. How would you, I guess, rank? Give me your top 4 in terms of ranking in these guys.
For the Pacers, it would be Quentin Jackson, number 1 by a pretty wide margin, then Jarris Walker, and then probably Furphy, and then Jay Huff.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's how I'd have it.
I like it. Are you
Quentin
fine
Jackson
with
is like hands down the best value play in the slate. Like, it's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, and we're showing that in terms of value, like 9.86, 78% in the flagship. Let's see what high stakes. Again, this will be updated. 94% in the high stakes
right.
MME. Yeah, no, that is right for sure. The Utah stuff has to be updated. This looks right. Are you fine with 6 players in this game? Like you picking your 4 Indiana guys and you're playing Laurie and Collier?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's I think so. Yeah, I don't know that you only have one other spot to really get right or wrong, I guess. So it's kind of you have all your eggs into one game basket. But yeah, I could definitely see 6 guys putting up a big enough score here.
I think I'm good with it. I mean, man, like the Utah has 8 guys. Collier and Laurie look like 2 of the better plays on the slate, or you can sub in Nurkic or whatever you want. But I think the best 2 when going these guys, since you're probably at least playing maybe an Isaiah Jackson who is just center. Jay Huff does it power forward, so if you do that, you can go Nurk. But I think I'd be fine playing 6 in this game. We do have, I mean, there is some Q tags on this slate, but nothing is going to open up to be a spot like this unless we get a blockbuster trade or something like that. So any other final thoughts on this game?
Our guy Colin is off of Collier. I'll call it right now. Collier is on the optimal lineup tonight.
There you go. Svi, did you mention anything about Svi?
No, I mean, he's going to play. He's cheap, so
you're just comparing him to Pacer stuff. Like it's
he doesn't do anything but launch threes. Like he's not getting a ton of rebounds or assists. You're going to get really strong rolls from like Quentin Jackson and some of these other guys. So I don't think that he's too much in play, but not out of play by any means.
I think we got news shortly before the show that Nurk was going to play.
Yeah, correct. He got ruled in.
Yep, cool. All right, I got nothing more there. If it is updated, we'll come back to check out the ownership. But right now, I think we are very and SaberSim light on Utah, and that will be adjusted throughout the day. Next game on the slate, 7 p.m. Eastern, New York Knicks and the Washington Wizards. 13.5-point favorites are the Knicks, 227.5 total in this one. On the Knicks side, no Mitch Robb, no Miles McBride. On the Washington side, no Trey Johnson. That is the only injury news there. I mean, yeah, like we talked about it with the spends. You'll have spends. Do you want to play Cat? You want to play Brunson, Hart, Bridges, all that? I just don't know how you can play like a Tyler Kolek or whatever over these Pacers stuff. So their big favorites are the Knicks. I think there's other spends that will definitely be more popular. I will say Towns, I think, is going to get a decent amount of ownership, but yeah, it's spends or nothing in this one, and tough for me to get to the Wizard side unless you're all over like a Sar or Keyshawn. They've had their games, but I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, I think that the Knicks are going to roll here. They're playing really, really good as of late. Ever since they had the players-only meeting last 2 weeks, they're first in defense, first in offense. Wizards have been in some competitive game environments, but you look at their schedule, like they played Sacramento and they benched all their guys in the second half. Then you beat Portland. Portland's not playing that great. You beat Milwaukee. Obviously, Milwaukee's one of the worst teams in the league now, and then they got blown out by the Lakers. So I think that the Knicks roll here. We could still get good enough minutes from guys like Sar and Keyshawn George that even like a blowout or like a not super competitive game, they could get there. But I think the best way to play them is probably in the game environment. So I would probably pair Sar or George with one of the Knicks. But yeah, I'm not really going out of my way to play these guys. I think that the Knicks side is a lot better. I like Towns here at 8.3K. Really good matchup for him. He's cooked the Wizards this season already, and also just playing a lot better, getting a ton of rebounds, 20 rebounds in 2 of his last 3 games. And then the Wizards are still one of the worst rebounding teams in the NBA. I think Cat's in a really big spot here. A little bit under on Brunson. He's going to get the Bilal Coulibaly assignment, which is not really a matchup to attack when we have all the plethora of options of spend ups especially at point guard too. So I think he's kind of pretty far down the list. And then the matchup's really good for the Hart, OG, and Mikal Bridges grouping. I think Hart is the best there. 7K, shooting guard, small forward eligibility. Really like Hart in these games where you can get out and scoring in transition. Wizards are bottom 10 in transition, I believe, this season. So pretty good spot for him. But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward game. I think it's kind of Cat in a tier of his own, and then the rest of the Knicks.
Yeah, I think a lot of these will kind of be pretty obvious because it's just really hard for you to pick a value play outside of the Pacers and maybe some Utah, but that you want to play over them. So it's the mid tier and the upper tier where you're getting different on this slate. Next game, Denver Nuggets and the Detroit Pistons. We're looking at Pistons 5.5 point favorites, 229.5 total in this one. On the Denver side, Christian Brown is questionable. On the Detroit side, they traded Jaden Ivey. So that's it there. Not really too much fantasy implications in terms of a slate like this. Yeah, I mean, you look at it, who's the spend? Jokic, Cade, Duren. I mean, that's kind of, I think, the guys I'm looking at it. And ownership's following. Like we said pre-show, we haven't had a slate like this in a long time, but it's as straightforward as it gets. We'll keep saying the point. It's so hard to play a mid-tier value guy like Thompson or Tobias. Like playing them over Collier is just so difficult to do today. Or a Jarris Walker or something like that. So you're playing the cheap value in the Indiana stuff, and then you're finding your mid-tier, your studs. So is Jokic or Cade one of your studs today?
Yeah, Jokic for sure. I think that we might see him get back to full minutes tonight. He was trending for around 32 minutes against OKC. Game kind of got out of hand, so he didn't get the full rotation. So I think that we might get him at like 34, 35 now. Usually the third game back from injury is when they start to ramp up the minutes. Jokic is generally a guy that does not get injured often. Like that was kind of a freak injury, so I feel like he's probably good to go now. There was a little bit of talk about his endurance not being there, but I mean he's pretty durable. So I feel like Jokic is pretty much back, and he's done pretty well against Duren in the past. He's done well against everybody, but we're gonna have so much value to play with. I think that Jokic is definitely a guy you have to consider. And then I'm not Xing out the rest of the Nuggets, but like Murray and Peyton Watson are. I probably get zero of them, but they're not guys that I'm Xing out my player pool. As for the Pistons stuff, it's Cade as like the clear spend up. He's going to get Peyton Watson tonight. Not really a matchup that I'm scared off of, but I don't really know how he compares to the other spend ups. Like I like Luka a lot more. Obviously, like Jokic more. I think I like Jalen Johnson more. And then if Shea is in, I probably like him a little bit more than Cade as well. But yeah, another guy that's going to be in the player pool and will definitely hit some bills just because we have so much value. Been playing well, obviously has a really good role. And then Duren, I think he's fine. He's been crushing over the last 3 games, but he's been around like 43 DK points. I don't think that's necessarily going to be enough tonight. So I'd be fine if I get 0, but I'd be fine if I got like 5% as well. And that's pretty much it. I think it's just the spend ups here.
Yeah, I think if you're playing like 50-plus teams and you're the MME streets, pretty much anyone over 7K that maybe shows for value like 4.5x or more, you can just play them. Like that's how you're getting different. Duren is a way to get different today. Not necessarily Cade, but maybe he moonwalks back a little from the 21%. Like I do think other people will go Luka and some spends more. So I do think unless you have a really, really strong take on a spend not getting there, like even you mentioned like Jamal Murray, I'd keep him in my pool. If you don't get him, fine, but you have unlimited value and so much of the value you're playing super chalky. You got to get different somewhere. And that's how you're doing it. You're not trying to leave money on this slate, are you? You're obviously open to it, but NBA, it's something we very rarely do. 8 games. That's not one way you're going to approach getting different, is it?
No, I think that the way that I get different is with those groups that I mentioned with the Pacers stuff. Because it's generally a bad idea to leave any salary for NBA.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, we'll keep it rolling. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. How many we got right now? 250 watching on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Hope everyone's having a good day. Again, all we ask is like button, subscribe button. Helped us out a ton, and if you're joining a little late, let me pull this back up real quick. Really cool stuff. So Boots Bullets, it's something new for golf. Our guy Matt Gannon, one of our golf guys, is going to be on the ground for, I believe, 10 events. He was talking to Daniel Berger at the airport. He's taking videos of EVR and Svi, dropping them in Discord. So it's going to be a premium show, is Boots Bullets. 5:30 Eastern, I believe, is when it's going to be. So about an hour, he's going to go live. If you're a member, you can ask him any questions. He's going to give some details, what he saw from people, if he talked to anyone. So you get all access, you get SaberSim free trial using the code BOOTS. And then, you'll get the premium access show. And also, right here under PGA Boots Bullets, he'll have a write-up on what he saw when he is on the ground as well. So, I mean, already the best golf content around. Shout out to Lee Aldrich. Doesn't get enough credit for his course fit rankings and the value report, but so much going on at Shipping Nation, waste management, big boy prizes. Really looking forward to that. We'd love to have you. And again, you can use the code BOOTS, as you can see right here, to try it out. All right, next game on the slate, Atlanta Hawks and the Miami Heat. Let me refresh DK Sportsbook quick. We are looking at 1.5 point favorites for the Heat, 237.5 total in this one. On the Atlanta side, Noah Kongwu still out with that gruesome teeth injury. He definitely needs some dental work there. That was nasty. On the Miami side, Norman Powell's doubtful. Andrew Wiggins is questionable. So right now I'm looking at spends. All right, we have Bam, we have Jalen Johnson, and then I guess maybe Wiggins if he does play. I'll let you take it away, though. I do not see myself getting to any value, like I keep saying.
Yeah, Wiggins is a guy that could be on the move. They're obviously Miami's kind of been in the trade talks for a few players, John Morant and Giannis, so they're going to have to send back a pretty big haul to get one or two of those guys. I think the projected trade for Giannis was like where Hero and it might have been Jovic. I forget who the third person was, and then obviously draft picks. So we could see, if anything happens tonight before this game, could see the Miami stuff thin out a little bit. But as it stands right now, just one Q tag, not really moving things enough for me to want to go out of my way to play these Miami guys. I like the matchup for Bam a ton here. The Hawks have been pretty good defensively around the basket. Getting KP back should definitely help them. But Bam's been playing really well. I think he has 20-plus points in 8 straight games, so scoring the ball really well. Was limited last game due to the blowout. He'd be the guy that I have the most interest in. And then if Wiggins were to miss, I think Hawkes is a guy to consider at 6.5K because he's shown really big upside. So those are two guys I have the most interest in. I don't think that the Wiggins out tag would do enough for guys like Drew Smith or Davion. Just comparing them to the Pacers stuff they're pretty far down the list for me. So I think it's just Bam and Jaime for me. On the Hawks side, Jalen, I think, is one of the top spends on the slate. I really like the pace for him in this one. He has seen a little bit of a dip in his assist rates since the CJ McCollum trade, but the usage is still pretty good, 28% in 10 games with CJ McCollum this season. And we're going to need to spend up at some places, mainly at forward, because I think we have a ton of center and guard value. So he makes a lot of sense as just kind of a spend up by default, but I actually think he's got a really appealing upside in this matchup with the game total. We've seen them really thrive in these fast-paced game environments, so he'd be one of my top spends tonight. I like the matchup for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but just don't think that there's enough upside for these guys at 7.1 for NAW, 7.4 for Dyson. That's a pretty big price tag on this big of a slate, so I think it's just Jalen for me.
I agree, and I do think Jalen's pretty strong. How would you rank? I know it's some different positions, but positions only matter a little bit on a slate like this. Cade, SGA, Jokic, Luka, Jalen Johnson, and I'll say Jaylen Brown. 9.8K and above. Where would you put Jalen Johnson in that list?
Behind Luka and Jokic, but ahead of everybody else, I think.
Okay. I like it. All right. Let's keep it rolling. Next game on the slate. Yeah, this will be one of the faster 8-game slates. Still got almost half the games to talk about, but that first game, the Pacers-Utah, if you're fading that game, feel free to send me a head-to-head or something like that because, you need a lot of exposure for that one. Los Angeles Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets. 7.5 point favorites of the Lakers, 221.5 total in this one. On the Lakers side, Austin Reeves is questionable. No injuries to note on the Brooklyn side. Sort by ownership. It's Luka, and then there's nobody else after that. My question to you, MPJ and LeBron, do you have any interest in them? Because obviously Luka is a very strong play. Yeah,
I do have a little bit of interest in them. I think that the upside for MPJ is that if the game is close, which it should be close enough, 8-point spread is not huge. There's definitely some blowout risk there, but if the game is close, we're seeing MPJ play a ton. He's played 37 minutes in each of the last 2 games, and when he's out for that many minutes, he's going to take a ton of shots. Went for 36 and 38 points in those last 2 games. So obviously plenty of upside for him at 8.8K. I think he's definitely going to be one of those spend up options that you consider tonight. It's a pretty good matchup too. Lakers aren't playing great on defense. I believe they're like bottom 10 over the last 2 weeks, and they are a bit more of a 3-point funnel this season. They also have a really bad rim defense, but teams just aren't getting a ton of rim shots up against them. So there's kind of a couple ways that the Nets could score here. But yeah, I think FPJ is definitely a guy that I'm considering tonight. I don't know where he would land, and if I was building like 1 to 3 lineups, if he would be in any of those lineups, but definitely would start to come into play anything like 20 max and or anything like 10 and above for sure. For the Lakers, I definitely think it's worth talking a little bit about the matchup for Luka, because the Nets have been a team that can take away scoring on lead ball handlers. They're the best, or one of the best, pick and roll defenses in the league, just with the way that they throw aggressive coverages at guards. So that could open up some easier scoring opportunities for guys like LeBron, for guys like DeAndre Ayton even. I think that he's not out of play, but maybe a little bit thinner, just because, I don't know, the ups, like he can get taken out of the rotation pretty quickly if he's not playing well on defense. But it was a little bit encouraging to see him play 29 and 32 minutes each of the last 2 games. This kind of does match up similar, like it's a stylistically similar matchup than the one he just faced against Washington. Washington, bad rim defense, bad rebounding team as well. So I think Aiden is a interesting guy to sprinkle in some of your lineups, because he has shown really big upside. But definitely think that it's Luka as the top option here. And then I think LeBron he could go for a big game here if they do throw those aggressive coverages at Luka. Like, he should be open a ton, or just at least have some more secondary playmaking opportunity. But I think Luka is probably the best spend on the slate. It's like him and Jokic, and then a pretty big teardrop.
I agree. I'm just trying to see. I don't know. Coach might be rolling.
I didn't see that happen yet.
Yeah, I can't find anything like that. Come on, put me in, Coach. Very well could happen. It sounds like they want to happen, but unless you got the GM's number on speed dial or something, I don't know where you're seeing that. Yeah, I mean, Luka, I think this might be another one where I'm not sure he's going to be 30%. Maybe. I definitely feel way more bullish about, maybe 30%'s right. There's enough spends that people are going to rotate, but it's so easy to have the money for Luka. Plenty of people will play him for sure, and you can't argue. But I do like your MPJ shout. What'd you say about LeBron? I was too busy reading or trying to find if Harden and Garland did go down.
I think that it could be a good spot for him, just with the way that the Nets are going to be double teaming Luka, or just like throwing aggressive coverages at him. There's going to be somebody that's left open, or at least has those like secondary playmaking or secondary scoring opportunities. I think that LeBron would be that guy.
Yeah, and you also do get like direct leverage kind of off of Luka. If LeBron does put up 70 or whatever, maybe it's less likely Luka does. Maybe defers a little more. You can tell yourself a story that way. So don't mind it one bit. All right, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. 7.5-point favorites are the Celtics. 223.5 total in this one. For the Dallas side, Brandon Williams, doubtful. D-Russ, doubtful. PJ Washington is out. On the Boston side, Anthony Simons just got traded. You can talk a little bit about that. I like what the Celtics did, grabbing Vooch, getting rid of Simons. And Simons was playing pretty well as of late. They just didn't really need guard help. They're pretty deep at guard. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty good for Boston getting Vooch. Anything on that? And then, yeah, what do you see in this game? I'm seeing, sorting by salary, Jaylen Brown, but can we go a little Cooper Flagg or Derek White as a contrarian spend?
Yeah. Well, you talk about a team that didn't really need guard help. I mean, the Chicago Bulls have like 17 guards now.
Well, they don't even know what they're doing. They're just trying to get Giannis.
You think the Bulls are trying to get Giannis?
Yeah, of course. I think all these teams are trying to get Giannis, but it doesn't sound like – I mean, the Bulls went up. Let's see what it is now. But the Bulls went up to like plus 250 or plus 325 like 2 days ago over the weekend. Their odds just absolutely skyrocketed to get Giannis. They were the second most likely. I'm going to see it might have dropped a little bit now, but because it sounds like now it's the Wolves or Miami. But yeah, no, the Bulls are definitely trying to get Giannis.
I don't know if they have a trade package that could compete with Miami or Minnesota right now. But that's interesting. I always thought that they'd be more likely to get like a Zion or something like that. But
their odds flew on the weekend. But yeah, it sounds like it's kind of down to, well, I don't know. Now I'm seeing like Draymond's ready to be like, he's prepared to go to Milwaukee or something, even though the Golden State, it seems like got shut down a little bit. Who knows? At the end of the day, I think Giannis might stay, or the Bucks might not trade him and they might wait for the summer, but we'll see.
Yeah, that seems like the most likely outcome, but yeah, who knows? We'll see. We got a couple more days, but yeah, I think it's a good trade for Boston. Get a center that can help them compete right now, and then you also have a very capable backup center with Neemias Queta behind Vooch. So I think it's a pretty good move for them. Yeah, I mean, they're tied for second in the East right now, so definitely still a competitive team. Everybody thought that they'd be bad, and Jaylen Brown's just really stepped up in a big way. So yeah, I think it's a good move for Boston. As for tonight's game, I do like the matchup a lot for Jaylen Brown and 9.8K. Continues to have a really strong role, continues to be one of the drive heaviest players in the league. He's second in scores off of drive, 5.2 field goals made per game, which is second behind Shai Gilgeous, and then second in drives per game. Should be well rested after only playing 29 minutes in each of the last two games. Did get a night off a couple nights ago. So I think that Jaylen Brown, probably the only guy that I'm really considering on the Boston side tonight. Just kind of, group him into that bucket of spend ups that you're going to be needing to play and mix in. So I think that he's definitely one of those guys. I like his scoring opportunity here versus a Dallas team that just has a really weak rim defense. I think that White and Pritchard probably should remain in your player pool, especially now that Simons is on the move. Those minutes should be a lot more secure. We've seen Simons kind of eat into each of those guys at different times this season. But the guard value is really, really strong tonight. So I'd much rather play Collier for similar price, cheaper price than both White and Pritchard, but in that similar range. And then obviously the Indy value is much better. I like the matchup a lot for Queta. Just don't know if there's necessarily enough upside for him. We're probably going to need 40 plus from him at center, and he has not topped 40 once this season. I think he's only done it maybe twice in his career. On the Dallas side, I saw somebody mention Cooper Flagg, if he can keep it going. I think he can. I mean, he's in great form right now, 83 points over his last two games. He has seen a little bit of a role change. I don't know if it's a new stat or a new tracking stat, but basically involvement percentage is how often a player is involved in offensive possessions. And he's seen his involvement percentage jump to 49% over the last two games. He's 32% on-ball percentage as well over the last two. So it's a plus 15 increase to his involvement and plus 9% increase to his on-ball percentage. So basically just higher usage, much higher touch time. And then he's also averaging more potential assists over his last two games and playing more minutes. So there's a lot to like about the role for Cooper Flagg. And if our guy Matt's watching, you can play him at 5 different positions because he's got point guard and small forward eligibility, which is really nice. So yeah, I think that Flagg is definitely in play for me tonight. I have him projected pretty strongly here. Obviously, it's a tough matchup. Boston does a really good job taking away rim scoring, but the role is just really good. He's averaging 1.31 fantasy points per minute with all those guys out, like you mentioned, D'Lo, Brandon Williams, AD, and PJ Washington. So a really good role for Cooper Flagg. I think that he's definitely a guy that I'm considering tonight at that. You're probably better off playing him at forward, small forward or forward tonight. But yeah, I definitely like him a good bit here. That's probably it. I think Najee is probably a guy that you can consider because he's had a pretty good role. But I think with Flagg playing so much better, that has hurt his production. So I'm not too into him at this price tag. And then I really like the matchup for Christie and Klay Thompson. But I don't think you're going to need them tonight. If anything, if you want to get some bets in on those guys, their three-point ladder, I think that it makes some sense tonight. Boston is one of the biggest three-point funnels in the NBA.
Flagg or LeBron is a contrarian spend.
I like Flagg better than LeBron tonight.
I like it. Did you mention anything about Derek White or Pritchard?
Yeah, I mean their minutes are a lot more secure now that they don't have Simons. I just think that comparing those guys to Collier, who's cheaper, I'd much rather play Collier.
Yeah, that makes sense. More likely to probably play Derek White with the shooting guard eligibility as well, but
yeah,
obviously a lot of Pacers and stuff have that. What else? So Giannis went from plus 4,500 to the Bulls on Sunday to plus 275 at one book, and then plus 450 at another. So
wow,
that's what I saw. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where that inside info or whatever came, but I think those odds have since corrected. All right, we'll keep it rolling. 2 games left on the slate. Definitely an important one with injury news. Orlando Magic and the OKC Thunder. OKC 9.5 point favorites, 220.5 total in this one. No injuries on the Orlando news to note. They're still without Franz. Yeah, very important OKC though. So Caruso was upgraded from doubtful to questionable, and then we have Jalen Williams, like IN, because the other Jalen's already out. With Jalen Williams, Hartenstein, Chet, and SGA all questionable. So how are you gonna do you have any leans on this? But if you don't have any leans, how are you really gonna do this in your MME builds and stuff? Because I mean, if we knew all of them and stuff were out, I guess my question would be, how would Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Kenrich Williams, how would they compare to some of the Pacers' value? But it's really hard to plug that in if we don't have the news before 7 Eastern, because you're pretty much drawing stone dead if these guys do play, because there's not even pivots in the other games that are even close to as strong as Pacers stuff. So I struggle to play those guys as much. Mainly the questions like the SGAs, the Chets of the world. But yeah, take it away. The OKC side's tough.
Well, with Vooch getting traded, you do have some outs, and I think Milwaukee is going to get a little bit of ownership as well. So you do have some opportunity to pivot. And then also if you get some guy, if you get Jaylen Brown and Cooper Flag in that Boston-Dallas game, then it gives you a little bit of opportunity. Although you're saying mainly salary.
The spends. You could play SGA in that, but are you saying you're fine playing Joe and Aaron Wiggins and stuff, and you think there's enough pivots that way?
Yes, potentially. Okay. If you need multiple pieces, obviously, because you don't want to be left with dropping from Jalen Smith down to Kenrich Williams, leaving $1,300 or whatever it would be. So I think you'd want multiple pivots if you're
okay. But you plan on playing some of these guys, Kaysons, Wiggins, Dortz. You plan on bumping these guys a little bit and forcing some in, because you're not going to get any if you don't do that.
I don't think I will. Okay, still almost favored by double digits, so probably getting multiple of these guys in. If I knew before the slate started that the front court guys were going to be out, then I would have a little bit of interest in the Usman Jangs and the Brandon Carlsons. But yeah, I don't expect these guys to sit. They do have a pretty big game tomorrow. They're playing the Spurs, so that's kind of the only thing that has me a little bit worried that we might get some out tags. But yeah, I just don't know if do you think that you'd get paid off enough by getting the OKC value right? The guys you would want be Wiggins, probably a little bit Case and Wallace would be a guy, but I still think that those are two main rotation pieces that they'd want for tomorrow's game. So I don't really know. I don't really know how to approach this, because I just think that it could go.
The problem is you need all of them out.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be drawing dead if you invested heavily into it.
Yeah, I don't think the risk reward is enough. You need SGA and Chet to be out, and probably a Caruso. You need him to be really thin. And even so, at ownership versus the Pacers, they'd be way better because they're a lot lower owned. But in a vacuum, just projection wise, I don't think they're really getting up there. So it's really hard for me to do that. Like you said, 9.5 point spread for the OKC Thunder. It feels like at least most of these guys are playing, and a really low total as well. Pacers we're talking about, they get the nut matchup against the Jazz on top of 8 players. Orlando's not a team you love picking on.
Yeah, it's going to be a slow-paced game.
Yeah, do the Pacers score 80? They're implied for 116. So, yeah, they're probably going to be doing that.
There will not be a lot of defense being played in that game.
No, Big Marley, you're in for a treat. Track meet.
Yeah, I'm expecting these guys to be in. I don't really see anything that I need to play. I think Shea is obviously pretty good. He's going to go up against Jalen Suggs, but not really anything I'm too scared off of. The Magic are one of the worst pick and roll defenses in the NBA. He's done pretty good against Shea or against Suggs in their career head-to-head matchups, averaging 37.6 per 75 possessions, 75% true shooting. So very efficient numbers for him. So I think Shea is definitely in play, but that's probably it for me. On the Orlando side, definitely think that you can get more into them, even though the matchup is tough. These guys are just playing so many minutes right now. Over the last 4 games, Paulo's averaging 38.5 minutes, Baines at 37.4, 36.8 for Black, and then we just saw Jalen Suggs kind of get unleashed over the last 2 games, 33 and 32 minutes in his last 2 games. So I definitely have interest in all 4. I think Suggs is the best, and maybe even a pivot off of Isaiah Collier in the same price range. Definitely think that Collier is going to project much better, but he'll be much higher on. You're getting I see Suggs right now projected for 20%. That's going to come way down, and Collier is going to go way up. So there's a little bit of leverage to be had there. So I don't mind Suggs at all. I think that he's decent. And it's a pretty good spot for the 3-point shooters. So like Bane, solid matchup. But even with him scoring a ton of points, he's not doing anything else. Like he went for 30 something points the other night and couldn't even touch 40. What was it? Yeah, 32 against Toronto, 7 for 10 from deep, and then had 38.75 DK points. Like that's just not going to cut it on tonight's slate. So I'm cool if I just have max 1 of Orlando and probably max 1 of OKC tonight.
I agree. I mean, they're playing a bunch of minutes as Orlando, but it's so concentrated. Even without Franz, like Anthony Black took such a big step. So now he eats into the Paulos and the Suggs of the world, and Bane's there. It just feels pretty difficult for me. I mean, I talked about it earlier. Like these guys have upside, and they're going to be really low owned, and you're going to probably play a lot of chalk. So I don't hate getting there, but I definitely like your rule max 1. I wouldn't want 2 Orlando guys on my team. Would still be pretty tough for me to click any of them in single entry. I'd rather click MPJ or Cooper Flag as a way to get different on this slate.
Yeah.
Then I would do that. All right, last game of the night. Chicago, or actually, I take that back. There's 2 later games, 2 hours later, not on the FanDuel or the DraftKings slate. Our man Little Neck will have NBA Showdown. He will have his slate plan up for the late game. He's absolutely been crushing it. Saw plenty of screenshots when I woke up this morning. So shout out to our man Little Neck. Chicago Bulls and the Milwaukee Bucks, 1.5 point favorites of the Bulls, 221.5 total in this one. On the Chicago side, no Giddey, no Vooch, no Kevin Huerter, and then we have Jalen Smith and Julian Phillips questionable. On the Milwaukee side, we have no Gary Harris, and Bobby Portis is questionable. Yeah, I guess you can start on the Bulls side. I think that's maybe a little more interesting, but maybe not. I guess what happens with Bobby is pretty important, but I mean, I'm not backloading. This first game's so good. I'm not really sure that way. I think Ryan Rollins, 8,700 is expensive. Better price on FanDuel will be more popular, but I mean, we have all the money in the world, so you can overspend if you want. But yeah, you showed a little interest in this game earlier, so break it down.
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely have to have some interest in the Bulls now that they're going to be so much more thin, especially in the front court. Jalen Smith, like you said, is questionable. If he were to miss, I think he plays tonight, but if he were to miss, then we're talking about 3,100 Lachlan Olbrich. I don't really know much about this guy. I've seen him appear in a few games, but I mean, he's 3,100 and he's going to have to play a good bit. It would be him and Patrick Williams manning most of the center minutes, and they'd have to run pretty small, probably some small ball Matas Buzelis in there as well. But yeah, I definitely think it's a good spot for them to attack the Bucks. They've been really bad on defense over the last 2 weeks. I mean, awful, actually. Bottom 3 in defense over the last 2 weeks. They're a huge 3-point funnel over that stretch. Bulls are a team that you still want to attack around the basket. Got to imagine they get worse now, losing some size with Vooch out there. But, yeah, I mean, the injuries and the trades really piling up for Chicago, so I think you have to have interest. For me, it's going to be Jalen Smith and Ayo as the 2 guys I have the most interest in at 6.4 and 6.1K. We've seen Ayo really been unleashed for a minutes ceiling. 37 2 games ago against Miami, went for 57.5 DK points. Good match for him to get some 3-point shots up as well. And initially when I wrote this game up, it was before the Vooch stuff happened, because that happened like right before we got on. But yeah, I think Jalen Smith is pretty solid. I imagine if he's playing a good bit, and we know that he's been a very solid permanent producer at times this season, shown a pretty high minute ceiling as well. So I think that he's kind of a guy you have to have interest in here for sure. Not too into Kobe White, 7.1K. I think he's still somewhat limited. Another guy that is probably or potentially getting moved at the deadline. So I don't think that they want to play him like 36 tonight. They also have more depth at the guard spot than they normally do. Like Isaac Okoro is going to mix in Dalen Terry, and then even Yuki Kawamura got in there last game. So they have a little bit of guard depth. I probably won't go to Kobe White, but I think Matas is pretty good here. Much less benching risk for him that we've seen before, with Huerter and Vooch gone. Was kind of losing minutes to Huerter at times this season. They were kind of checking in for each other, but I think now with Huerter gone, probably getting 36 from Matas.
Smith might miss. Like, is that a real Q tag too? Because he'd get even a bigger bump if that's the case.
I mean, it just says right calf cramping, so I don't know how real that injury tag is. They've been off he hasn't played in it's been like 4 or 5 days, so I feel like he should be back. But yeah, I don't know.
would you leave or make sure you have 300 in flexibility if you are playing Jalen Smith to just do that 1v1 pivot right to Matas?
Or you could just start with a lot of Matas and pivot down, same position eligibility if you have them both at power forward or forward.
Yeah, but then who do you like more straight up, assuming they both play? It sounded like Jalen Smith at first.
Yeah, I do like Jalen Smith a little bit more. I just think he's got better per minute upside now with now that he'll be the starting center, assuming that he is starting. So yeah, I think I do like Jalen Smith a little bit more.
Okay, and yeah, I mean, you just said like 36 minutes. So again, when Rio's talking, I'm looking at these are the projected minutes for SaberSim. If it's like 5 minutes that Rio thinks is underprojected, 4-3 as a fantasy point per minute guy, 1.13, like you bump this projection up to 37.7 or something random, you can show he looks a lot better there. So little things like that I like to look at and keep in mind when Rio's talking. Keep it rolling.
I think that kind of covers it. Like Patrick Williams is a guy that you should probably consider now at 3.7K, if anything, to allow you to kind of get off of some of that Indy chalk. Because like I said, Indy has a little bit of depth. I mean, they have more depth than Chicago and the Jazz do, so they can. I don't think we're like guaranteed a ton of minutes from the front court guys, but Patrick Williams is going to play tonight, especially if Jalen Smith were to miss. He's got to play 30 plus, I would imagine. They don't really have any front court guys. Like he's going to either start at center or play the backup center minutes. I think I would definitely have a little bit of interest in him, and I think that is it. Like Ulbrich is a guy I'd want some of if I knew that Jalen Smith were to be out, but I just don't know that's going to be the case tonight. So I'm probably not going to get to too much of him. I also don't think that he pays off enough for you to really gain a ton of leverage by waiting for him. Did have a really good game last time he saw minutes, which was 2 days ago, 20 points against Miami in just 11 minutes. So decent permanent upside. As for the Milwaukee stuff, I'm not as excited. I don't know where the ownership is going to land now with all the changes to the slate, but
I think we're probably hot.
Yeah, it's got to come down a good bit. Either way, I don't really like Rollins or Bobby Portis at these price tags. Like we've seen Rollins have really, really high ceiling before, but I don't know if he's going to do it tonight. Like he definitely could. He's playing a ton of minutes. The role has been strong, like what we would expect. But Kuzma has kind of had like borderline the same role as him, and he's 2K cheaper with better positional eligibility. So I kind of prefer Kuzma if I'm choosing between one of the two. And I also prefer Miles Turner over Bobby Portis if Bobby Portis were to be in. I liked it a lot more with Vooch in for the matchup for Miles Turner because Vooch was a guy that's going to be scoring around the basket. So the block opportunities were going to be there, and Vooch just doesn't really come out to the three-point line. So I think that there was some good scoring opportunity for Miles Turner. It does change a little bit with him out, but you're also going up against a much younger and less experienced team. So I think that there still is pretty good upside for Miles Turner. So if I'm choosing these Bucks guys, it's going to be Turner and Kuzma for me. A little bit less interested in Rollins and Bobby Portis personally.
All right. And do you have any lean on the Portis Q tag? Because, I mean, Turner and Kuzma, like the ownership won't really change because it's the last game, assuming we don't really get the news prior to the start of the Pacers game. So do you have any lean there? Obviously, Kuzma and Turner are fine, but I think you should probably manually bump them, or it'd be something you should consider if you do think that Portis Q tag is a real Q tag.
Yeah, I don't really have a lean. I mean, he played 37 minutes 2 games ago, and it's a contusion, so it's not like a soft tissue thing. So I would think that he plays, but
he could be on the block too. I mean,
he has been for years.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Yeah. So I mean, maybe the Bucks just give him the day off and wait and hear more stuff. So yeah,
well,
maybe
people were kind of throwing out trade ideas with him paired with Giannis. So I think kind of makes sense from like a salary standpoint.
For sure, I think that's what it. Yeah, I think that's probably how. If he does get dish, I think that's how it would be with Giannis.
Mordo did mention that Io. I think they're talking about Io in the chat, but yeah, they have a couple guys that are probably going to get moved too. So the Bulls are. So I would definitely be a little like if you see a midday downgrade on a guy like Kobe or Io, they're probably getting traded.
Yep.
Also, I wanted to circle back. Sorry, before go ahead, I'll circle back.
No. Go ahead. Mine wasn't important.
I was just talking about the Nurkic stuff because he's also been linked to some trades as well. There was a trade or a report that came out basically like right after the Jaren Jackson trade. They said that the Jazz are not done, and Nurkic has a pretty big salary that they would probably like to dump. He's also been playing really well. There's teams that need a center, like the Hornets were a team that's kind of on the trade market for one. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nurkic does get maybe he's probably not playing like a ton, just if they do plan on trading him.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about in chat, like that you need 8 bodies or you need 8 people to dress. So I assume if he dresses, he probably plays with 8. I would assume they'd call up a G League or something, or I don't know if Kevin Love's really that ill, maybe, but maybe he gets called up. I mean, he's doubtful right now, so probably not. But I would struggle clicking Nurkic's name at 7.7K today, even though that they said he will play. But that's a good shout. I wasn't going to say anything important. I was going to ask you about Kawamura. Your thoughts on him?
I don't know. I mean, you probably need more guys to be out and like him starting. I just
no,
like
not
him.
for DFS. Just like a real life pest guy.
Yeah, I think he's fun to watch. Like, not sure he's ever going to really make like a big impact on an NBA team, but definitely cool story.
Who's the guy that I'm thinking of? Oh my gosh, I think he was on the Hornets.
Talking about Muggsy?
No. They had a little dude that I mean, he was just a pest as well. A little short dude, just pressed. He was all kind of like an Alvarado, but I'm blanking on the international guy that it was.
Damn.
I can picture him. I mean, he played pretty well in the Olympics for whatever team he had, but I'm blanking on the name.
I'm sure somebody knows. Like he was a guy that we were playing a lot too. No, it wasn't JJ Barea. No. It was like the last 2 years. It might even been there last year, honestly.
I know. We definitely played him a little bit for sure. Just a pest. Just always was in your group. Always was doing something annoying the other team. What a name though, JJ Barea. I haven't heard that.
He was a hooper.
Yeah. That's all I got for the 8 games. Again, there is 2 late games. Come on, someone in chat's got to help me though. We got 420 watching. We got 2 late games, a night slate, solid night slate, showdown with our man Little Neck. All that can be found. PGA on Thursday, Waste Management, awesome prizes. MMA this Saturday, NHL. Shout out to the NHL team still going on as well. All you got to do here. Let me do this real quick.
I know you didn't forget about the Super Bowl.
Oh no, of course I didn't forget about the Super Bowl. That's just a given, but I should say that you are right. If you do want to get in at the Nation, though, all you got to do, shipination.com, join the Nation, and Rio helping me out. The best deal, I think, right now would be the 5-day access because it will take you into our Super Bowl content. I mean, insane prizes, FanDuel and DraftKings, like always. We will have a show, Hoop Tambo myself, more than likely. Probably Friday. Do not know for sure. We'll let you know there. But, this 5 days, $19, gets you SaberSim, gets you Discord, gets you NFL, NBA, PGA, MMA, and NHL. We'd absolutely love to have you. Projections, ownership, everything you need for DFS. $19 for 5 days. Absolutely cannot beat that deal. Yeah, it was Campazzo. Yeah, yep.
I think it was Micic. Yeah, it was Micic.
It was Micic? I thought it was.
Yeah, he was on the Hornets. Campazzo was with the Nuggets.
I was thinking of Campazzo, though. I got the team wrong. It was Campazzo for sure. Yep, that's 100% what I was thinking of. Yep, thank you. Micic was the guy because I typed in Hornets at first and I saw Micic's name, but I'm like, that's not it. Yeah. I was thinking of Denver and Campazzo. Thank you, fellas. Rio, any final thoughts before we get on out of here?
No, I think this is Slate. You gotta be around like the next couple hours because I think the trade deadline stuff is going to heat up even more. Definitely just keep an eye on that. But right now, obviously, Indy and Utah, the decision point on the slate.
And I do not think that will change. I mean, we definitely probably are going to get more news. Stay around for your computer, but that game will not be ignored regardless of what we see. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Hope everyone has a great Tuesday night. We'd love to see you at the Nation. Get in the Discord if you do join. For my man Rio, I'm Title. Good luck. Be safe. Peace.